Hello, hello, hello. I am Marie Dene. Today I am here with a very special guest. We're back with our Speaking of Curves Facebook Live series. Every week or twice a week actually, we meet with different designers, influencers, models, producers, people in the plus size community. And it's important that that especially during now, like we're here to support and show love and give back to those who are doing it, who are really helping move plus size fashion forward. So I started this series to introduce you to these designers, these business owners, these influencers, these business leaders who are kind of behind the scenes. And we're going to talk about the industry, talk about their business, and kind of introduce to you maybe some designers that you've never known. And so we've been doing this kind of almost consistently since April, and I've been having so much fun. And so today's guest, I'm really freaking geeked about because you've seen her on the runways during New York Fashion Week. You've seen her in campaigns, but then you've probably also read her words in mainstream fashion magazines. And now she's this actually Thursday, she will be celebrating 1 year of her business. 1 year, y'all. And so her clothing line, which if you've been looking for plus size suiting, if you've been looking for more tailored, elevated, wear to work options and essentials, then you're going to be totally in love with this brand and this designer. So join me in welcoming Miss Laura Chan. Hello, Miss Lauren.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining me.
No, thank you for having me and for that incredible intro. I mean, I feel like you're so kind. You're too kind. You're bordering on too kind.
Not girl. Every time I chat with you, I'd be like, hey, girl. Especially because I was introduced to you with your words when you were at Glamour, right?
Yeah.
You were one of the editors at Glamour. And I remember being like, who's this woman? Like, okay, I see you. And then I started seeing more of you. And you were walking the runways, like you were on the Chromat show. Chromat?
Yeah.
But you've walked some other places. Like, tell these folks, if they don't know who you are, like some of the shows and some of the places and words we have read you.
Well, first, I feel like you did such a good job explaining it because I've kind of been all over the place for the past 10 years. It makes sense in a way. So I started as a plus size model, but what I really wanted to do was be a fashion editor. So the whole time that I started out modeling, I was writing places like you said, and then I ended up as an editor at Glamour, that's where I spent the bulk of my editorial career. And then after Glamour, when I left, I kind of went back to modeling a little bit as I started my own business. So I think Fashion Week I've done Chromat, 11 on Array, which was an amazing show, Rebecca Minkoff. Again, kind of all over the place, like independent New York highbrow designers, retailers in the plus only space, and then mainstream super American brands as well. So that's been a really interesting experience because I feel like part of me feels like I really belong to the quote unquote like fashion with a capital F side of the industry. But on the same token, I've always been the plus size girl in the room because when I was largely modeling, it was not an inclusive space. And so I have felt like a part of it, but I have also felt completely apart from it.
Right.
Anyhow, and then like I said, I spent the bulk of my editing career at Glamour, where we got to know each other because I had a plus size column and did all that plus size coverage. And then I left, oh my gosh, 2 years ago, and have had my own brand, Henning, which makes luxury women's wear for a year on Thursday, exactly like you said.
Well, talk about like a full circle. Like now you're actually writing about you are now creating the pieces that you've been wanting to have. Like you've literally made it happen. Like instead of like talking about it, you're being about it. And in this journey for you, like I remember reading, part of your journey, your frustrations of starting Henning was when you had all these meetings and everyone was wearing suiting. Like for you, you were like, okay, I'm wearing like maybe like a faux 3/4 sleeve jacket that maybe.
I love that you understand the faux 3/4 sleeve thing, because sometimes I try to explain why the plus size suiting market is lacking, and I'll say something like, you know, I just could never find a blazer without a 3/4 sleeve, and some people are just like, well, what's wrong with that? But if you want a real jacket and all you have is a little rounded 3/4 sleeve,
and they're always ruched right here, like this.
Why are they ruched? Why are they ruched?
Like who? And then it's never a real like 3-button situation. It's always like maybe one, or it's open. It's open. It doesn't.
I love you. You get me. You understand me. But yes, to answer your question, I was in those meetings, but way before that, even before I was thinking of starting the brand. I think a lot of my frustration in shopping came from being at work in meetings that anybody would be taking every day. And like, I would be sitting with women who were wearing gorgeous designer fashion. And when you work in fashion, that's super important. But also, no matter the industry that you work in, it just signifies your value in a way as a person, and what you're able to bring to the table, and how you're able to represent yourself, and how confident you can be. And when you're sitting beside someone in Miu Miu and you're in, like me, quite literally pit stained Forever 21, like, you're just not on the same playing field, and you have no way of representing yourself to get on the same playing field.
Right. And they all serve their purposes in different places of life. But, you know, like if you're an executive sitting at like, and you want, if someone's talking about like a fully lined jacket, or a full, you know, or they're talking about a hidden pocket, or like a Mandarin collar, and you want all of, and these are what's trending, or what the new norm is, and you want them in plus, and you're like, yo, where are these details for us?
For sure.
Where are these details? So for you, you bring an elevated contemporary, you know, eye to plus size workwear essentials. And I say essentials because, you know, anytime I talk about pieces that you need to have in your closet, one of those are always is a suit, because not just the jacket, but the matching pants, because even when you bring them apart, you know, you can mix and match those with jeans or with different types of blouses, but you can bring them together and have its own suiting.
Definitely. And I think, like, I don't use particularly the word essentials, but I use the word staples. But to the same point that those words make, they're things that make us look timeless and put together and sharp. And, you know, like, we believe in investing in ourselves. Really, if I like stop as I'm talking, which I probably shouldn't do, and think about the essence of why those types of clothes are important, it really becomes about investment and value.
And I think, you know, to Tammy Joy's point, you will find that when you do, you know, save a little bit more and spend a little bit more, especially on a blazer that is that workhorse piece for you. When you find a great blazer, you pair it with everything. You wear it like 2 or 3 times a week. You wear it with jeans. You wear it with a skirt, with a matching pant, with like over a dress, or like you mix and match it with so many different things. And you need that sucker to fit well and fit right. And when it comes to construction, the reason why you find a lot of off the rack pieces not fitting is because the construction is very like kind of boxy. It's not tailored, and because the tailoring is going to add a couple more dollars. Tailoring is going to add, you know, you're going to want things to be lined so that it lays and doesn't grab to the fabric that you're wearing underneath it, right?
Definitely. And I think that you feel a way when you have something like that on, and then you behave.
Girl.
How you feel. So there are very tangible effects. What'd you say?
Can't tell you nothing.
No, when you have a good piece of clothing on, that's how you should feel. And the disadvantage that I grew sick of is it was so hard for me to chase that feeling and find it and then apply it to my life. And I was watching the people around me have it every day. you know, walking into rooms like they owned them, and then maybe their ideas are better received. Maybe their pitch works. You know what I mean? Like fashion is often seen as frivolous, I think, because it's a women's industry, point blank, but there are really tangible effects.
Yeah, like, I mean, we assign so much of our value, of our self-worth, based off of what we feel in what we're wearing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
access to what we're wearing or what we want to wear, because there's, you know, for the longest time, there was a like us and them type of separation.
It still is.
I mean, yeah, it's getting better though.
Getting better.
It is getting better, especially over the past 10 years, but like more the last couple of 5 or whatever, as there are more entrants and there is more awareness, and you have this groundswell of social media that's like allowing for us to challenge brands and industries with like what it is and what it isn't. And for you, you know, one of the things that I appreciated about the debut collection that you had, it was like the imagery. I appreciated the imagery and the way that you, the badassery, you know, like boss type of feel that came along with your brand. And immediately I was like, get it. I get it. Cause like you like, I want my plus size theory. I want theory and plus.
Yep. I always wanted that. I wanted Theory. I wanted Tibby. I wanted Joseph. I wanted Rag and Bone. I wanted Vince. I mean, I could go on. I could go on and on and on.
Rumor has it though that Vince is gonna dip their toe in plus. I heard little rumors.
That's a good rumor. I haven't heard that. I hope so. I hope they don't make.
I hope
lasers,
so.
But
all those knits and the chunky soft knits that Vince does. OMG, I'm ready for it.
Okay, don't kill me. I have to plug this into the wall because when I plugged my ring light in,
keep it in. We don't keep it in.
I unplugged my charger. Marie was helping me get set up. She helped me put my light in the right position and all that stuff because I'm terrible at this. So anyhow, we are plugged in again. Anyways, that's a good rumor about Vince. I hope that it's true.
I hope so too. I'm like, okay, girl, let's talk.
Well, you know Bacall, the line Bacall. Cynthia Vincent, who's one of the founders of Vince, that's her brand. So okay,
that makes sense.
I can't figure out. Maybe you can start this website or do something or start a business or help it with a new series of a little bit more education of what goes on behind the scenes, because I feel like there's so much information like that brands aren't like screaming from the rooftops that is super important. And especially now when we all as consumers want to support the people who have supported us and whom we know as human beings and not corporations.
But you know what also needs to happen though too, is that these brands need to get to know the community and also respect the thought leaders and acknowledge them. Because I can tell you this, when Bacall launched, they didn't reach out to us. I chased them.
Yeah.
You know,
there's definitely been for a very long time, as someone who has kind of sat in the middle of it, the fashion versus plus size fashion, not in terms of offering or anything like that, but just in terms of outlet and talent and how we hold them in terms of how aspirational they are and where we want our PR placements and where we want our models from and stuff like that. But I do feel like that line is blurring. Do you?
You know, for me, I find myself often, I'm the one who knocks and kicks down the door. And I'm not afraid to do that anymore. I think for a while I was a little bit more timid about it. But now I'm like, listen, like, hello. Like, we're one of the plus size media platforms that do this. Like, we do this. Like, you know, oftentimes, like, if someone would share something from mainstream fashion, like, they would send us the link and be like, hey, Marie, like, what's going on with this? Like, plus size folks have been trained, like, only because we've gone without for so long. Like, we'll read it mainstream, but then come and have this conversation here in our spaces. And so it's like, brands, if you want to, like, understand the plus space, you need to be connected to where they are.
Honestly, the one thing that has always blown my mind and will forever blow my mind is that the corporations are just about their dollar, right? And it just makes business sense for them to want to do that. And still there is such a strong aversion.
you say they're about their dollar, but if that was the case, you know how many other brands would actually be in the plus size space, girl? I mean, like real talk. Like if you know, I was taught in my MBA program, it's like drilled into all of our heads. At the end of the day, it's all about the dollar. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's the case, you know, we're, you know, at minimum, like it's only 24 billion in the plus space, scaling and projected to hit 50 billion, growing at double the rate of mainstream fashion. Like,
and that's not new.
Right.
Yeah.
And like it only makes sense for them to actually like service. So this is where you came in. So you were like, F all this, I'm gonna create my own line. And so you have given us Henning. Now, for all you guys who are just joining us, I want to make sure I welcome, because we've got some new arrivals. While you guys are joining us, I'm here with Lauren Chan. She is a model turned editor turned designer. You got all these terms, girl. Like, I love the evolution.
I'm dizzy.
I know, right? For the evolution of Henning. So Henning is a contemporary, elevated, plus size wear to work, plus size workwear brand. So you're gonna get all the suiting, you're gonna get the wool jackets, you're gonna get the trench coats, you're gonna get all of it to give you all that like great foundation pieces for your workwear life, right? And so can you show and share with us some of the pieces? Because I know you have summer. Is it summer that's out or spring?
Spring, same season, yeah.
So spring and summer is out. And I believe you're wearing one of the jackets.
Yeah. So I'm wearing the Renwick jacket, which is our like double-breasted terracotta one. It's the same as our best-selling black blazer, just in a new fabric for spring. So this is the best-selling black one. Where's my camera? See, I'm very bad at this.
You're good.
Oh my gosh, I can't even figure out my left from my right. Anyhow, my favorite part about these is they all have like a pep talk in the ribbon there. Because they're like mean it.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so we were really conscious of course, all the construction details, but also like the special little things. And then so this is the last color for spring. We did this khaki because I was seeing this everywhere, all over Instagram, on all of the straight size girls, whether it was Gigi Hadid in British Vogue or on literally every single runway for the spring, all the street style images, and then all of the straight size bloggers were kind of adopting this neutral khaki with bike shorts suiting vibe, and we just didn't have access to it. And as I predicted, it has become really the dominant like trend and style of the moment. And plus is often left out of things that are a little more masculine and a little less trendy and a little less colorful. And there are a ton of plus size women like myself who just don't feel like ourselves and don't identify with bright purple flowers. And like we were talking about,
or a cold shoulder situation, like, okay, girl.
Why was that a thing? Why was it a thing for so long?
And it still is. When you go to some place, you'd be like, why are you still doing cold shoulders like this, girl? Like, the exaggerated cold shoulders were like, 2 springs ago. And, before, it's like, I feel like that was like their way of like letting us be sexy. Right?
Totally. This is acceptable skin.
Right. Acceptable sexy in a plus size body. Like what?
And it just wasn't like it was everyone else was doing completely off the shoulder, like and we didn't get those because that's too much skin. You know what I mean? So anyhow, I feel really passionately about giving us, our community, clothes when they're happening on trend with everyone else, because we typically get things a few seasons later. And again,
like I remember, I'm totally sorry to cut you off, but I remember very specifically, like there was like this trend where the red lace off the shoulder dress or red lace dresses, when it was like everyone had a version of this like red lace type of dress. And we legit got it like 2 seasons later, and Evans, the UK brand, had done their version of it. And we laughed about how, like, I remember having this conversation on Twitter about how long it took for us to get an on-trend piece, or and it's always like these brands are scared that they don't know if we're gonna want to show our shoulders. Like, some of us want to show our shoulders. Like, why wouldn't we?
Yeah. I think that there's for some reason, still this giant misconception that once you hit a size 14, you lose your sense of style and self, and that you don't want to participate in the world around you as it's happening, with fashion particularly. In a bit of defense of ethical and shelter, I personally prefer. I hear that. Bandeau is really, really hard. I can't wear anything bandeau because my chest will just be on the floor and it's not comfortable. So I hear you. There is some support there.
But you know, like, I liked the cold shoulder when it was like on trend.
Yes, when it was happening.
When it was happening. And I think, you know, for me, what I appreciate is that more plus size bra brands are creating more comfort, more comfortable underpinnings to be able to wear these pieces with more confidence. Whether, you know, like right now I'm wearing a strapless bra. I was gonna wear like this totally really cute, like, what do you call it, a slip dress? But then the strap broke and I was like, what the hell?
No.
I would've got this.
That would have been cute.
I know, I wanted to be cute for you, but then after I was
you still are. What did I say as soon as you turn your computer on? I was like, oh my God, you look so beautiful. I didn't put enough makeup on.
Well, like for me, I'm wearing like this like linen, like higher quality linen situation from Pari Passu. Like, you know, they're like, I guess like a complimentary brand to you.
Yeah, I love that. I would actually wear that with this because the blue and the rust go really nicely together. Yeah, I love that.
Kenny's hilarious. Some brands want us looking like we are wearing curtains or sofa covers.
One thing I've really learned as I have made clothes more, because it's not a trade that I was educated in formally. I really learned by doing it. Of course, I was a shopper, so I knew as much as I could by shopping for years and just comparing garments and learning my body and learning them. But one thing I have really learned as I have made clothes and worked with brands who make clothes is that it's just about saving money, because the fit is easier when it's tinted and it goes over top of the body. It just, the shoulders work and then it falls, because nobody wants to fit a bicep, a bust dart, a princess seam, a double vent. It's just, I mean, I can tell you from experience, it takes a lot of time and money.
Because you got to get that pattern right? And then you have to set the pattern. Then not only do you set the pattern, but the pattern is also indicative of your styling aesthetic. You know, like for example, Theory fits fitted. So if you go to Theory, you know, like you may want to feel more comfortable going up a size. But like DVF has a whole different fit from Mark by Marc Jacobs from like Vincent. So even straight size brands have like different variations with their and their fit. So with the brand, sometimes fit is also part of their aesthetic. So when you get that down pat, it's going to take a lot more effort into it. Now, you are based, so Henning is based in New York, correct?
Yes.
And you're made there too?
Yes, in the garment district. It's pretty awesome, actually, because for somebody like me, again, who didn't go to fashion school to design clothes and hasn't been an operations lead at a brand, like instead of it being made overseas and me just getting the clothes delivered to me when it's done, like I have to go get buttons right now, and I'm get to go walk into the factory and talk to them and see people working and say, what's that machine and what's that do? And all of that on a trip to get buttons. And so it's been really, really educational for me. And yeah, beyond, of course, all of the things about it being made here for brand purposes and just the ethical nature of our business decisions, but it's been really educational.
I love it. Tina said, I feel like I finally found my style with Henning. Come on, fan. Yes.
She's my favorite person. I adore her. She has so many of the best pieces. We actually shot Tina for one of our street style shoots, along with, you know, the influencers and people that we wanted to have modeling the brand. When we launched our leather jacket, we were like, we've got to get Tina Dixon in it.
I have a question here, Miss Chris. Oh, is it Christiane or Christian? Christian, I'm gonna say it's Christiane. I'm gonna say that. I have narrow shoulders and end up with that awkward poked in look with a lot of jackets that have shoulder pads. Do the Henning blazers tailor well for those of us who don't have a standard fit size model body?
So when you buy a jacket, you should always buy for the shoulders, because shoulders are one thing that it really isn't possible to alter just because of the construction. There's a shoulder pad, there's fusing, there's a rolled sleeve here, which goes, it's really, really hard to fix shoulders. Essentially, it is doable, but you would end up spending so much money. You really could probably afford almost the base of a custom garment. Anyhow, so you should always buy for your shoulders and take the rest in, whether that looks like you're taking in sleeves, because really then you're just taking in, where's my camera? This seam here. Can you see the seam? And then along the back, you could take it along the back seams too. So our shoulder pads are pretty standard. You can't, I mean, you could take it out, but then you would change the shape of the garment as well. So for something like that, like it's really about, and it's not, not always trying to push Henning. It's like finding the brand that works for your shoulders. So if there is a theory like 14, I think they make, I don't know, maybe just a 12 that fits you because it's under a brand, you should really go with the brand that the shoulders of the jacket fit.
Yes. So for those of you guys who didn't catch her question, Lauren just gave us some really great tips when it comes to finding that perfect blazer for you. It's really going to be about buying and shopping to fit your shoulders, and then getting other pieces tailored in from there so that you have that bespoke tailored vibe. And then, also to be mindful, like one of the other most expensive situations is shortening sleeves, because they don't just cut it off here, y'all. They have to take it out from the shoulder and raise it up to give you the, so that it has the right proportions. But
and so that you keep our blazers have functional cuffs, so you can actually open this. So if it was too tight on your wrist, we did that because it's for a fit thing. If you want to push your sleeves up, you can actually do that, and then it will go up. But also because it's something that is a facet of bespoke menswear that I had just never seen, but I learned after the fact that then, yes, you cannot alter the sleeve from that end because you lose that. Something that I've seen on set when I'm working as a model is on jeans with like a raw hem or a special hem or blazers like that. They actually they chop it right out of the middle, and then they sew it back up here, and they like Photoshop it out later.
Holy hell, I didn't even think about that. Like, I think when, one of the things that, key is we're mentioning here, like finding a great tailor, finding someone who does alterations is going to be your best friend, regardless if you're plus or you're straight size.
It really is.
Finding an amazing tailor will help you like take a $200 jacket, make it look like $1,000 jacket, like a $50 jacket, make it look like $100 just by taking it to a tailor.
It really is. And, that's something that I talked about a lot when I was an editor and I really am passionate about this. I have a few things to say. Number one, because it should, over time, if you get in that habit, reset your brain to seriously absorb and acknowledge that it is not you that is the problem. There is nothing wrong with your body. It is a piece of cotton or wool or silk. It's an inanimate object. And for some reason, we have absorbed and been trained to believe the message that if something doesn't fit us, we need to lose the weight, or we have fat in the wrong places, or our curves aren't right. It's a piece of clothes, y'all. Cut it up, sew it back up. That's, really at the heart of that message that you're sharing. Is if we think about what we really mean to say, is that just fix the clothes. You don't need to fix yourself. So that's why I feel really strongly about that. Secondly, you'll feel better when you're in good clothes because of what we talked about earlier. Your confidence, your behavior will change. And then when I was at Glamour, I really, really realized that no celebrity goes anywhere without everything tailored. It doesn't even matter if they're like going out to the grocery store in a t-shirt and jeans. That has been fit to them exactly. And then we compare ourselves to that.
They tailor t-shirts. When I used to work at Bloomingdale's for a long time, many moons ago, and when I saw that people tailor t-shirts, I was like, it didn't even dawn on me that to even tailor a t-shirt, but people do it. And then we're like, then we're in our mind, because they don't give us that education, we're now like searching for that t-shirt that looks just like how they fit it, but they got it tailored.
So of course, this is my point. So of course we're not going to find one that fits us perfectly versus somebody who got it tailored. And then we sit there and feel like hell.
Right.
Totally.
Right.
So like with Henning, we offer $100 credit on tailoring. If something doesn't fit, before you return it, I ask people to email me directly. I want to talk to them about it because, one, I want the data of why it doesn't fit so that we can change our pattern so that it is fitting the people who want to buy from us. And secondly, because that's my exact point. Like, don't worry. I made the best blazer I could. I'm not perfect. It's just a blazer. Here's some money. Go cut it up and make yourself feel great in it, because that's what the goal of the brand and my goal is at the end of the day.
That's amazing. So Alicia has a question. She says, I am busty with a small waist. I fit from my chest, but then most shirts just hang. How do I find shirts that fit more shapely? Go ahead and take this and I'll come on the back end.
Yeah, of course. I think first of like to what we were just speaking to, a tailor will help that. You buy for your largest part and you tailor the rest in. Or you find brands that fit that way or trends that fit that way. A site that I use to shop specific shapes, pieces, styles that I want is shopstyle.com. And it's essentially like an aggregate. It existed, I think, before Google Shopping really took off, but I think it's a little more user-friendly than Google Shopping and populates with less ads